Hello, hi, good morning. I wanted to jump on here and do a little Camp NaNoWriMo update, as well as a writing in general update. I kind of just wanted to have a chat about how I'm feeling lately when it comes to writing. So let's start with the Camp NaNoWriMo update, because that won't take very long because I haven't written anything. I wrote on Friday, which was the 1st of April, because myself and a few other author tubers had a live writing session, so like some writing sprints over on Autumn's channel, so she hosted that. So I did write that day, and I wrote probably about 600 words. And those 600 words basically just went into the outline or the re-outline of Blood of Amberum. So I did write that day, and then after that I did not write anything. So today is Wednesday, April 6th. I have not written anything since then. My very loose goal was to basically write about 300 words per day, and I have not done that. However, this sort of leads us into what I wanted to chat about this video, and that is the fact that I am trying very, very hard right now to not put pressure on my writing. So I kind of touched on it in another video, but my goal for Camp NaNoWriMo this year is so low, like 300 words per day, because I don't want to put pressure on myself to write anymore. I find that when I put pressure on myself to write large word counts, which is something I've mentioned before, it was something I ran into last NaNoWriMo, so in November. When I put pressure on word counts, it makes me not want to do it. It's like when I put pressure on myself to read a book. It then reminds me of school, and I get bitter and I don't want to do it. So really what I probably should have done was choose to not participate in Camp NaNoWriMo at all, but I didn't do that because I have bad FOMO and I wanted to participate in it. I wanted to do something. And I also think that as long as you do it the right way, there is a healthy way to take on these challenges without your writing suffering for them. I honestly don't know right now if I am in the right place to be able to take on writing challenges without my writing suffering from it, which is why I figured if I took it on and had a super low word count goal, everything would be fine and dandy. Yeah. So the fact that it hasn't been so far and that I haven't really felt like writing still, I've felt like doing some kind of edits and that sort of thing, which I have been doing, but I haven't felt like writing, and I haven't felt like trying to hit word counts. I just haven't wanted to do that. And the mindset that I'm in right now, I've been reflecting on it a lot, because I'm like, well, why not? Because you love drafting. I do. I love drafting, and I just love creating stories in general. So I've kind of had to sit back and do some reflecting on why I feel like I'm pulling teeth right now. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that I'm putting too much pressure on my art, which I feel like I've spoken about before. I think I've kind of spoken about how if you put too much pressure on yourself to be creative, that usually ruins creativity, because that's not a healthy mindset to be creative in. And I think, so I'm gonna blame social media a little bit, even though obviously I partake in social media, so this is also a me problem. But I think that being so involved in author communities on social media has put more pressure on myself to do more writing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And can I just say, I love my writing communities. I love the writing community on YouTube here. I love the writing community over on TikTok. I am so beyond grateful and happy that I have found other people who enjoy reading the same books that I do, but also enjoy writing the same books that I do. I am so overly grateful for that, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. However, I'm learning that I need to find a balance for myself, because I am putting pressure on myself to always be working on my writing and to be forcing out words and to be always creating in that capacity. And that is just something that I cannot do with my writing. I think that we have this habit of trying to monetize hobbies that we do and trying to monetize creative passions that we have, because we've seen how accessible it is and we've seen how easy it is, for lack of a better word, because in the past it hasn't been this easy to become artists. But with social media and creative platforms and the internet, it has become a little bit easier to get your work out there, and it's become easier to monetize these passions. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I have already monetized a lot of my passions, and I don't regret monetizing those creative passions whatsoever, but I really have to draw the line when it comes to writing, because writing for me has outlived all of those passions, all of those little things that I've dipped my toes into and tried to monetize. Writing has been around longer than they have, and writing will be around for the rest of my life. So putting the same kind of pressure on my writing to try and earn money from it is just something that I don't think I am going to be able to do ever. And this was also kind of something that I was a little worried about when I started sharing it on my YouTube channel, because it is just something that is so special to my soul that I knew I wanted to share it a bit more, because I never really have before. I've kind of shared it in the past with like family members, but that's basically it. So I was hesitant putting it on YouTube because it's something that's just been with me for so long that I was terrified that I would do what I've now been finding myself trying to do, which is force that creative outlet into something that is going to make me money. Because of course, there's always that little voice in the back of your head that's like, what if you got published or published yourself and became a best-selling author and you could quit all your jobs and just write? And for some people, that's an amazing dream, and I will support you to the ends of the earth. And even for me a few years ago, that would have still been a dream. I would have still thought that way. However, I've changed a lot, and I've also realized that my creativity isn't something that can be black and white like that. I can't go all in and put pressure on my writing to support me, because that will take the creativity and the fun out of writing. And that will take away from writing that magical little essence that is what makes me so happy writing. That little part of writing that like makes my soul grounded and happy again, even no matter what's going on in the rest of the world. Putting pressure on my writing to make me money takes that away from writing for me. And that is something that I can never lose from writing. Like, I won't let myself, because these stories are so close to me and something that have been living in my brain since I was old enough to conceptualize things. And I think that I'm also proud of myself for getting to a point where I can start to differentiate between things that need pressure so that I can make money from them and still earn a living, and things that need to kind of stay hobbies, I guess. And writing is one of those things that I just right now really don't want to put pressure on to try and make money from it, which is also why I've said in past videos I will always have another job that is not writing. I think that I will always be doing something else to supplement my income so that all of the pressure is not on writing. And I would also like to say that is not to say that I'm not going to publish my books. I am. I'm gonna get the stories out there one way or another, but I want to get them out there with the mindset that they could make $0. They could make no money. I could lose money on them, and that needs to be okay. Because as soon as I start tying my livelihood and the quality of my life and how much money I'm earning to those stories, they're no longer going to be the stories that I know I have, because that kind of pressure will change them. I know it will. I've already seen it kind of change them as I learn more about publishing and what people like, and as I shift into that mindset, I've seen how that can affect my creativity, which is also why I am so torn between traditional publishing and self-publishing now, because I have this fear in my head. And at the end of the day, I know that even traditionally published authors generally have other jobs to supplement their income. You're very lucky if you manage to make your entire income from your book, no matter what kind of author you are. But I think that I've become paranoid that being with a traditional publisher and a literary agent is going to put more of that pressure on my writing that I don't want to have, which is why now I keep leaning towards self-publishing, because you do have so much more control even over, you know, how much time you're actually spending on the writing. So if you have control over your timeline, then you have control over your writing schedule, and you can choose to write when you need to write, like when you feel like you need to write, and you can take breaks when you don't need to write and when you don't feel like that creative outlet is going to be the best thing for you to do at that point in time, if that makes sense. I think you can always try and adjust things to have the least amount of pressure. It's you know, about self-discipline and organizing yourself and scheduling yourself properly, no matter what kind of publishing you're doing. But I do think that the fear of putting too much pressure on my writing is something that is constantly swaying me back and forth between the types of publishing. So at the end of the day, like I mentioned, writing is just something that has been with me for as long as I can remember. It will be with me for the rest of my life. And lately, because of the influence of me constantly sharing about my writing or seeing other aspiring authors sharing about their writing, I have just found that there's too much pressure for me to try and make something of my writing immediately. And that's not what's going to be best for my stories. So this video isn't to announce that there's going to be more or less writing content on my channel. There's still going to be writing content. That is still such a huge part of my life. And I think luckily I can make YouTube videos without feeling the pressure of needing to make money from my writing, especially because I'm so lucky right now to have a job that I can pay the bills with, that I enjoy doing. So that takes the pressure off of making money from YouTube and my writing as well. But the point was to kind of just hop on and share where my thinking is right now when it comes to writing. I think I already started to feel this in November of last year during NaNoWriMo. I just still despise word counts right now. I hate keeping track of the words. Even now when it's only supposed to be 300 words per day, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I hate, it just feels like in every other area of my life, I have counted things. I just feel like so much of my life and other people's lives as well are just like tracked by numbers, and there's just all these metrics. Like you track, like I've always been so hyper fixated on the grades that I'm getting in school, how many hours I'm doing certain things, times that you need to be places, things like how many hours you're spending at the gym, or how much weight you're lifting, or how many calories you're eating, or how much money you're making, or how many subscribers you have on YouTube or followers on other platforms, how many hours per week you're dedicating to each thing. And there are all of these metrics and numbers, and I get that. That's part of life. It's part of being aware and understanding how things work. But when it comes to writing, it is truly such a like flow thing for me. And I know that people always talk about there are things that like once you get into the flow with that thing, metrics are just out the window. Like I'm not tracking words, I'm not tracking time, I don't want to apply that metric of success to my writing, because this is just something that like I can't lose. I cannot ruin this for myself, basically. So that's where I'm at. I'm sorry, because I know so many of you have really enjoyed kind of keeping up with how many words I'm writing and following me on NaNoWriMo and stuff, which I love you for it, but I don't want to track that kind of thing anymore. It just needs to become something that I can just flow with again. So we're going into recovery when it comes to my writing. And I knew I was gonna do it too. I was like, as soon as you start posting about it, you're gonna start tracking it, you're gonna start being competitive too, because I'm a very competitive person, which already is not healthy for writing. It's stupid, but like that's just my brain. And I kind of saw this coming. So I am glad that I have arrived at the conclusion and been able to stop myself before it does go too far and before it does really kind of take away from writing the most important part, which is to just enjoy it and to tell stories. So if you made it to the end, thank you for listening to me babble on about kind of what I'm going through mentally when it comes to my writing right now and where I'm at. I hope that you took something from this video. If you are someone who makes a living from your writing and that's a pressure that you think your writing really benefits from and you really enjoy, absolutely all the power to you. It's just not something that I can do. In a world where I have tried to monetize basically every hobby and interest that I have ever had, writing cannot fall into that category, and I won't let it, and I won't lose it to that. I was just editing the video, as you can see, and just wanted to pop on and say that in the future, this might change. For example, since I have mentioned that I do want to publish these stories, if there comes a time when I get like a traditional publishing deal or when I start self-publishing regularly, that I do need to put a little bit more pressure on myself to get that writing done, I am still going to do that, and I'm totally ready to adapt to that. I just feel like, especially in these foundational stages, when I'm just starting to approach that, I'm already putting too much pressure on myself. And I just need to make sure that I have a balance, and that when I am creating these stories, I am doing it from that special place in my soul that wants to tell the stories. And then after that, when I'm like editing and publishing and revising and that sort of thing, then I put pressure on it. But I'm saying this more just because right now there is like a pressure for me to be drafting and already trying to make money from it that is just ill-placed, and it doesn't make sense. And I need the stories to be built from the right place, and then if/when it actually does become part of my livelihood and another stream of income for me, then I already have practice building these stories in a way that's true to myself. And then the editing, revising, and publishing part of the process will be the part where that pressure is actually valuable, if that makes sense. On that note, you'll have a writing vlog soon, or it'll rather be more of an editing vlog. I do have a critique partner. I have people to talk to about my work now, which I'm so excited about. And I'm so excited to just flow with it again and stop putting pressure on it. I know it's gonna take time to learn not to, and to bring myself out of that mindset again, but I am gonna try and make that part of the vlogs coming up, because I think it's an important thing to talk about and to share about. So yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. You guys always have the most incredible things to say, and you always share such good insights. So I would love to hear how you're feeling. You can tell me about your Camp NaNoWriMo. You can share your word counts with me still if you want. I'm gonna cheer you on till the day I die. So you can share all of that stuff with me anyways, and I will keep on rooting for you. But I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I love you all very much. And thank you so much for supporting me and watching my channel. We hit 11,000 subscribers this morning, so 11,000 of you are okay with seeing me babble, I suppose. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.